Welcome to Today in History, your daily AI podcast. Here, you'll discover what made this day special, from famous events and breakthroughs to the birthdays and passing anniversaries of legendary figures. So, let's check in and travel back through time one day at a time.
We take a single day, seemingly random, and, well, discover it's often a massive intersection point for history. We're not just looking at birthdays, but those real turning points that shape the world we know.
Exactly. And our goal for you today is to look at October 15th by weaving together two different viewpoints, the English and the Urdu Wikipedia entries for the date. Gives you that quicker sort of multi-angle perspective.
And that approach really shows October 15th is, wow, it's kind of explosive. You've got everything from huge imperial battles stopping expansion dead in its tracks to the literal founding of the world's first major electric light company. And even the chemistry that led to, well, one of the biggest social game changers of the 20th century. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with those foundations, the big political and imperial shifts that kind of set the scene for the modern world. October 15th covers some really key moments.
It really does. If we go way back to 1066, like right after the Battle of Hastings, on this day, October 15th, Edgar the Atheling was proclaimed King of England.
Right, Atheling meaning like a prince, basically. Part of the royal family.
Yeah, exactly. He was proclaimed king by the Witan, that was the Council of Nobles and Clergy back then.
But here's the thing, he was king for maybe, what, 2 months? Never actually crowned?
No, he ended up conceding to William the Conqueror pretty quickly. So it's this symbolic moment of resistance right before the inevitable takeover.
Okay, fast forward a few centuries. 1529. This is different, right? This is about holding power, not losing it.
Definitely. The Siege of Vienna ends on this day. The Ottoman Empire's push into Central Europe gets stopped cold by the Austrian forces. That was a huge turning point for the continent.
But then there's this quieter change, but maybe even more fundamental. 1582, the Gregorian calendar starts getting adopted.
Right.
How does that compete with a major military siege?
Well, if you think about the long-term impact, it arguably had a bigger effect. I mean, this calendar created the framework we still use globally.
For trade, science, everything.
Exactly. It's standardized timekeeping across different countries, which was essential for like international contracts, shipping, even just reliable scientific observation. It was like a mandatory software update for the whole world, really.
Okay, so we've got shifts in power, shifts in time itself, and the political drama keeps rolling closer to our era, 1793.
Ah, Marie Antoinette. Tried and convicted of treason in France. That really cemented the end of the French monarchy, didn't it?
And then, jump forward just a bit, 1815, Napoleon starts his final exile on St. Helena. The end of an era, for sure.
So lots of big endings on this date, politically speaking. But what about beginnings? You mentioned the lighting company.
Yes, and this is where having both sources is really cool. Both the English and the Urdu entries pinpoint the exact same thing. October 15th, 1878. The Edison Electric Light Company officially starts operations in New York.
Right, and the fact that both highlight it tells you its significance is, well, undisputed globally. This is the spark, literally, for electrifying the world.
Moving away from gaslight and candles.
Towards industrial electrification. Think about it, cities staying lit at night, longer working hours possible, factories becoming safer, different kinds of industries emerging. It's a cornerstone of modern life, starting right there.
Okay, so Edison lights up the cities. Let's pivot now. How did that kind of innovation spread? Let's talk about theme 2. Innovation, from flying machines to, well, cosmic weirdness.
Yeah, we go from lighting the ground to reaching for the sky. Back in 1783, Jean-François Pilote de Rosier makes the first human ascent in a hot air balloon, the Montgolfier brothers' invention.
The very first time someone flew untethered like that. Amazing.
It is. And then think, just over 200 years later, same date, we're launching incredibly complex machines toward other planets. Quite a leap.
And while we're reaching for the skies, we were also writing the language for the machines that would help us get there. 1956, Fortran.
Ah, Fortran, F-O-R-T-R-N. The first modern high-level programming language gets shared with the coding community.
Why was that so important? Wasn't it just another code?
Oh, no, it was revolutionary because it made programming accessible. Before Fortran, coding was this incredibly arcane, specialized thing.
Yeah.
Fortran allowed scientists and engineers, people who weren't computer specialists, to write complex programs themselves. It basically kicked off the software age, enabling all sorts of calculations needed for, the space race, modern engineering, everything.
Wow. Okay. And linking science to social change. 1951. A Mexican chemist, Luis Miramontes.
Yes, he completes the synthesis of northesterone. And that sounds obscure, but
It's the basis for the birth control pill.
exactly. This chemical synthesis was the necessary first step for developing early oral contraceptives. You can't really overstate the impact that had on global society, health, personal freedom. It's arguably the most socially radical innovation linked to this date.
It's almost jarring to shift from chemistry and code, to thinking about outer space and cosmic events on the same date.
It is quite the range. We've got two big space milestones. 1997, the Cassini probe launches towards Saturn. Incredible mission. And then 2003, China launches Shenzhou 5, their first crewed spaceflight. A huge national achievement.
So these very planned, very precise moments of human exploration.
And then you contrast that with something utterly unexpected and extreme from nature. 1991, the observation of the oh my god particle.
Okay, the name alone, what was that? Sounds like something out of a comic book.
It kind of does. It was an ultra-high energy cosmic ray. Get this. It
Right.
had something like 40 million times the energy of the most energetic protons we can create in our biggest particle accelerators.
Whoa, how is that even possible?
That's the thing. It kind of defied the known physics of the time. It's like taking the kinetic energy of a speeding baseball and somehow packing it all into a single subatomic particle. It's just this reminder of the sheer chaotic power out there in the universe, sitting right next to our carefully planned space missions in the timeline.
From cosmic extremes back down to Earth, and specifically the political and cultural landscape of the later 20th century. Theme 3.
Right. And here again, the sources line up on a key event. 1990, Mikhail Gorbachev, leader of the Soviet Union, gets the Nobel Peace Prize.
For helping end the Cold War, basically.
Yeah, for easing tensions, opening things up. The fact that both English and Urdu sources flag this really confirms it as a globally recognized symbol of that era ending.
But while the Cold War was winding down, other places saw major upheaval.
Yeah.
Different kinds of power shifts.
Exactly. You see a constitutional transition in Egypt in 1970. Anwar Sadat becomes president, succeeding Gamal Abdel Nasser peacefully.
Okay.
But contrast that with 1987 in Burkina Faso. A violent coup d'etat overthrows and kills President Thomas Sankara. So, same date, very different paths to power change.
And thinking domestically in the U.S., 1966 is a landmark year for the civil rights movement.
The Black Panther Party is founded by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale in Oakland, California. A really pivotal moment in organizing for self-defense and civil rights.
Quite a contrast, thinking about that kind of community organizing and then jumping back to, say, Victorian London.
Yeah, the sheer range is something. Go back to 1888. And on this date, the police investigating the Jack the Ripper murders receive the infamous From Hell letter.
Chilling. A moment that's kind of defined true crime fascination ever since.
It really has. And then, shifting to a different kind of tragedy, more modern, 1970, the Westgate Bridge collapse in Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, that was terrible. How many people?
35 construction workers were killed. It's still Australia's worst industrial accident.
Wow.
And it wasn't just a statistic. It really forced a major rethink about engineering safety standards during that big boom in infrastructure projects in the late 20th century. A hard lesson learned.
It's incredible just how many influential figures share this birthday. Instead of just listing names, maybe we can look at the contrast between some of them. It tells a story in itself.
That's a great way to look at it. Okay, how about this pairing? Emperor Akbar of the Mughal Empire, born 1542.
Right, the great administrator, known for religious tolerance,
Yeah.
building this huge organized empire.
Paired with Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, born 1844.
Ah, the disruptor. Challenging morality, religion, the very systems Akbar was so good at managing. One built the framework, the other asked why it existed.
Fascinating.
Totally. Or think about two major 20th century figures who used their skills very differently for their societies. APJ Abdul Kalam.
The scientist, engineer who became India's 11th president, hugely respected.
And Fela Kuti, the Nigerian musician and activist.
Right. Kalam used science and governance for national empowerment. Kuti used his music, Afrobeat, as this powerful tool against corruption and injustice. Became a global icon.
The statesman scientist versus the revolutionary artist, you could say. Both incredibly influential.
And the date also marks the passing of diverse figures. Cole Porter, the composer, died on this day in 1964. And Hermann Goering, the Nazi leader, died in 1946. culture and conflict right there.
And this is where the Urdu source added really important contemporary context. It noted the more recent deaths of figures like Manshiyad, a Pakistani writer, in 2011.
Ghulam Nabi Kayal, a Kashmiri poet, in 2023. And Dr. Omar Farwana, a Palestinian physician and researcher, also killed in Gaza in 2023.
That's crucial. It reminds you that history isn't just about people from centuries ago. It's constantly being made, and loss is felt across the globe right now.
Exactly. It keeps the perspective grounded and current.
So let's tie all this together. What does October 15th mean today? How is it observed? Interestingly, the modern observances seem to reflect some of these historical threads.
They really do. The sources point to a focus on health, safety, and empowerment. You've got three main global observances happening simultaneously.
Okay, what are they?
There's White Cane Safety Day, which is also recognized as World Sight Day. Then the International Day of Rural Women, focusing on their role and empowerment.
Right.
And Global Hand Washing Day.
Global Hand Washing Day. Seems simple, but after everything we've discussed about public health and infrastructure, incredibly important.
Absolutely. Basic hygiene as a global priority. And one more, tying back to a figure we mentioned, October 15th, is also widely recognized as World Students' Day, marking the birthday of APJ Abdul Kalam.
Linking back to education and inspiration. Makes sense. So wrapping this up, this deep dive into October 15th, wow. It really shows how one date can be this incredible junction. It connects the rise of civil rights movements, the dawn of space travel, and the actual tech that powers our world, like electricity and code.
Yeah, the synthesis, I think, is that October 15th shows how world-changing events can cluster. You get these quiet, almost hidden moments of scientific creation, like the precursor to the pill, or Fortran being shared, right alongside the loud, dramatic political shifts, coups, peace prizes, the fall of monarchies. It's got the history of systems being built, systems being disrupted, and new foundations being laid, all mixed together.
It really makes you think about what kind of change lasts the longest, doesn't it? We talked about huge battles, famous rulers. But maybe here's something for you, the listener, to chew on. Think about the Gregorian calendar adoption back in 1582. How might a purely administrative change, something that just standardizes how we track time, quietly end up reshaping global trade, science, and culture far more profoundly than any single battle or revolution ever could?
That's a great question to ponder. The quiet changes versus the loud ones.
Something to think about until our next deep dive.
That's all for today's episode of Today in History. Thanks for listening. Join us again tomorrow to uncover more moments that shaped our world. Until then, keep learning, stay curious, and make history in your own way.